So, Rosie, we're just going to have the introductory talk to this, yeah?
Yes, I'd say so. I just want to sort of like get everybody to get a bit of a feel whether it's something that they want to do, but to get the benefits of it, they really need to apply it at home in their own time on a daily basis, especially if you are dealing with a heavy package of energy or something that you are dealing it with your own mind that needs transformation, or you could say a miracle. It's essential to discipline the mind and really give that allowances to create that space of being present and experience the truth of who you truly are. So by making a commitment to apply the ritual for the time being, I said for the time being because Jesus does not actually encourage us to do rituals, but it's just a way of recognizing that once you learn how to use the mind with the mind of God, then everything else that we are dealing with in these fragments of identifications that we are still in this world and that our emotions still exist, we can utilize the knowledge that is being given to us so that we can recognize that there is no limitations in the power of choosing the mind of God. But because of the memories that is appearing in our consciousness, and we're so heavily invested in it, that it's so hard to maintain constant inner peace in the world. So for me, I discovered this modality and I realized just by doing so, I can start to witness that, just through the awareness of love's presence, everything can be undone for me, but I just need to learn how to organize my own mind, right? And all my ideas and my beliefs that is going on in my own head, and everybody's different, So once you start to learn how to train your mind to train for itself, then you don't need to do any more rituals because you know how to gain the access to remain still and be present. So what I found is because my body was heavily invested with that energy of identity that I am this body and that my world is real, and I needed a correction. So as I go through applying this modality of breath work, a little bit of yoga, like stretching, I start to recognize that my brain is not needed. Right?
When you say your brain, what are you referring to?
My body. My body is part of my brain, right? So every time I think, there is identity.
When you say brain, is like that the ego thought system? Because brain to me is just nothing. It's like it's a
Yeah.
lump of flesh.
Yeah, it's ecosystem.
Okay.
So technically, everything that consists this body is ecosystem. Everything that we are seeing in this world, everything that has been projected here, everything, even like talking about this, is also ecosystem. However, just for a moment, I'm going to remove myself from ideas of spirituality, knowing that I have invited the Holy Spirit in to help me walk through my path so that the Holy Spirit can show me the corrections. Hence why once you are starting to organize your own mind and you start to witness everything that is going on for you, if you don't give it a name, let's just call it energy, you would know if you are experiencing inner peace here and now, or something is happening within the fragment of your own consciousness. By inviting the Holy Spirit in, doing the rituals for the time being so that you can start to witness the energies being unlocked for you. So that's how I discovered for myself. During the practice of our breath work, there is this tendency that I will request to withdraw from your senses. So there will be the moment where you're going to be triggered. Oh, I'm going to adjust. I'm going to move my legs. I'm going to do this. Something is hurting. Something is always going to be distracting us. But for the purpose of training the mind, you need to tell yourself, okay, this is an opportunity. I need to withdraw from my senses. There is a gift in that, recognizing that the moment you withdraw from your senses, even though just for tiny little bit, and then you go back to your temporal mind, it's okay, because something is being undone energetically just through those conscious decision to invite the Holy Spirit in and just ask, okay, Father, I need help. I can recognize that if I withdraw from my senses, I feel like I am dead. There is fear associations that will rise above that, where you're going to want to adjust. So this is why together, because we're using A Course in Miracles to speed up the process of our transformation, we can utilize the lesson in the Course so that to help us advance ourselves, to take a leap of faith for just tiny little moment of making a conscious decision. In this moment, I'm going to withdraw from my senses. Just when you recognize that you needed to adjust, just for that moment. Okay, so that's the whole purpose of doing breath work, because you're aligning yourself, you're going from within, you're not getting caught up on constantly transforming the external world. You are going internally so that you can start to witness how it's being transformed for you internally. So any form of diseases that has been manifested, you can witness that's also being undone, because everything is just energy. If we don't give it a name, we will no longer be a prisoner of those ideas. Now there is a space of blank. Woohoo!
Can I do a quick synopsis?
Yep.
So it's basically we're learning to use our mind just really to be still, to really stay with the decision to be still. And because there's temptation all the time, even if we sit still and we do the practice, to go back to our thinking. Now, no matter what that thinking is, no matter what the thought form is, whether it's a sensation of pain, whether it seems to be what we call like a thought that we'd hear as a word or language, whether it's a visual something, an image, what the practice is we're learning to just be still and stay with that, not that, you could say.
Yeah.
And then the light can come in and it starts the purification process, and we really need do nothing but be willing to stay with that space, you could say.
Exactly. Also, like, because during the process of doing the breathwork exercises, you would naturally would feel the stillness, because everything will just calm everything down. The body will be completely relaxed, and your mind will just be in this spacious of presence. You can then go a little bit more deeper, because once this is presence, there is no more mind, and you start to really invite in the mind of God, pure consciousness. And as we allow ourselves to stay into this glorious experience of total calmness, the presence of that starts to experience in that moment. I can't come up with the words for that, because it just feels like you can't give words. It's just, you know, that you're in that I amness, or the presence of oneness, or you're no longer this body, you're no longer this mind or the identity of the ego. You just start to experience who you truly are as a child of God. Thank you. We will do the breath work. We'll start next week. So anyone that wants to participate, just let me know, because it's not for everybody, but anyone that wants to do it are more than welcome.
So, Rosie, was the idea of having 4 weeks, and we'll do a closed group. So whoever gets a prompt that this could be helpful for them, we'll do 4 sessions, Rosie. So 4
Yes.
commitment.
Or however it requires, because sometimes I feel like I am willing to sit with everybody until the package of energy has shifted. So it's important to actually witness. It depends with everyone. When I was dealing with my own ego, one package of energy took me 3 months. And I just woke up one day, I said, oh my God, I had a miracle, it's all gone. And I don't know how to explain it, but I just knew that that package of energy that I was heavily attached to has disappeared. But it took me 3 months of serious mind training, physical mind training, not just applying the lessons, because I was doing the lessons for so many years. And the reason why I come into these breathwork exercises was I was talking to Jesus. And I said to Jesus, you know, yes, I can experience inner peace when I apply the lesson, but I don't do the lesson 24 hours in a day. And I want to experience constant inner peace. I demand to experience constant inner peace. So my mind can be at peace, but I can recognize that I still have this emotional baggage that I was witnessing, and I did not know how to deal with them. So in that moment that I have asked for help, and Jesus directed me to India and become a yoga teacher, and that's where everything is all sort of fall into places for me, because I learned the concepts of the 8 limbs of yoga. And that's where I grasp Jesus Christ, pranayama, here we come. This is the most important thing, because it's allowing me to really let go with total relaxation. And in that total relaxation, I can truly cherish the presence of the love of God.
And the forgiveness has really happened because stuff is actually undone. Because a lot of people can use the Course and they have these transcendent moments, but the undoing's not really happening. They're just having a transcendent moment of peace. So the packages, like you're calling them packages of energy, whatever is making up the world we see as if it is actually something and has some reality to it, that all has to be undone in us, that self-concept. And it's really good you were talking about the deadness too, Rosie, because, you know, a lot of brothers I know have been speaking about this recently, about really going through that last, what they're calling the eye of the needle, and you will feel like you're dying. There's often a feeling as if you're dying, where that last part is sort of being really undone. The real concept of me is being undone and purified from the mind. And when that's forgiven, when everything's forgiven, then you are going to be in a consistent state of peace, even though you still have to be vigilant for the kingdom in perception. It's easy, it's simple now, because you've got the action of mind and you know you're forgiven. You have been forgiven. You've undone that self-concept and all the thought forms that make that up.
Thank you. And also, it's like the more we walk the walk and talk the talk, the more of that expansions of staying true to who you truly are. For me, I am discovering the continuum of selflessness and dissociations with the world, because that's my path now. I'm no longer the person that Rosie was, were trying to make a dream for herself and rich and fame kind of thing. It is come to the point for me of that deadness where there is no more me, and the leftover of this association is just simply to represent the truth of who I truly am. So I was telling Annie last week, oh my God, I was at work and I love my work and I love everybody in there, and I'm just constantly super duper excited just to be along with them. And simply because in my own mind, I am here to represent the truth of who I truly am. So I'm always excited wherever I put myself into. But there was this moment where I was energetically, I was being pulled back and I could not move. And my job as a beauty therapist slash masseuse, my arms just doesn't want to move. Like energetically, I just feel like somebody has put a rock on my arms. And I said, oh my God, I need help. I said, Jesus, why are you doing this to me now? So I was going to go and see Annie to Byron Bay, but because of COVID, the lockdown, it didn't happen. So I'm sitting still at my friend's place in Mount Coolum and just really listening. That's the only thing I heard, is to stay in tune to direct communication is to continue on with that selflessness and dissociate myself from the world. And in that, I have to quit my job because it's done. Energetically, it's done. And so I'm back to that space of nothingness. I said, holy shit, now what's next? I have no clue. But I am not here to survive. I am here to collapse the time to be totally used by the divine. And I have no clue how that's going to unfold, but all I know is that I need to stay present. It's scary though. It's like I am dying every day in that moment, like right now, so to speak, while I'm talking to and sharing it with you all, my brothers. I am in the process of that dying again. I'm getting used to it now, so I'm getting excited as it's because I feel like for quite a long time I'm taking my journey so seriously. It is really just recently where it's so subtle that I can have a good laugh about everything. Thank you.
It is that acclimatizing too, Rosie, because when your mind has been so habituated to always be referring to something of the past, something of our past learning, to really start living from present presence in and as that presence, it takes a bit of acclimatizing to really have the day before or this day be really brand new unto itself, and whatever happened before washed away entirely. And here you are, like completely not knowing in a certain way and showing up not knowing and not having a past memory to refer to. It takes a bit of acclimatizing.
Yeah. Well, I've asked for this. I wanted this. I've chosen to be free from all my package of energy. So I'm getting the results of my own thinking. I am totally grateful because I am witnessing the miracles unfolding for me in every given moment, and just taking that leap of faith and knowing that God has my back because I am in one with God. I am ready to jump when he says jump. Few years ago, I'd be like, hang on a second, Jesus. I still got jobs to do that I have to fulfill, and I need to tick in the box before I can let go. It's crazy, but we all have to go through this.
That's a really good point too, Rosie, because some of the way we do go through it, in a sense, is to say yes to it rather than try to avoid it, rather than try to let go of it before we're really ready for it. Like if there's something we really want to do, the way we let go of it is actually to say yes to it and go into it. If there's some sort of desire or something we think we really need to do or be about, it's like be about it. Because that is like how we sort of clean it up in ourselves more quickly than sort of going, oh, no, I meant to be going to God and letting go. It's quicker to just go dive right in and go for it, and it gets cleaned up.
Exactly. That's how you know that you are free and that you are not guilty of anything and that you are actually really innocent as a child of God. We need to revisit all our beliefs, all our ideas for corrections, because if we try to hide that from ourselves, I call it treasure box, I have my little stash just in case for rainy days, just in case God have forgotten me. I needed to survive in the world. So I used to have my own little stash, but can't hide from Jesus. He sees everything. But it's so true when they said, because you are love and hello, Brandon. I'm distracted. Woohoo! Okay, Annie, take over. I kind of I've lost it. It's gone.
We were talking about you. Oh, you were talking about you have your little stash of like Jesus, just in case you forgot, Gerard, you've forgotten about me.
Yeah, that's it.
I've got my little, but Jesus knows, and about we have to revisit those ideas so that they're purified from our minds.
That's right, and like the way Jesus says in the Course that you're not actually the one that is doing the undoing. That's Jesus' job. Our job is simply be willing to surrender those ideas that we have upon ourselves. So, we can take our time. We're in charge of taking our time, but how it's being undone, it's not up to us. So Jesus is really good when he says that, when you surrender yourself to me, he's going to make it easier for me to go through it. So just gentleness, just layer by layer. When I am ready, I get presented, oh, okay, here's a picture image that I valued. Oh, Jesus, I don't really want to give this one up just yet. And he'll be nice to me. He'll be gentle, and he just says, okay, then go for it, live your life and knock yourself out. And indeed, I did. I knocked myself out. And it was awesome. But it got to the point that it was so awesome that I realized, okay, Jesus, I want more. And that asking for more, realizing that there is nothing in the world that can actually fulfill what is more. You see? So that's the abundance. That's the complete inheritance. And the corrections, because we get given everything, but we realize that this is not where my values lies. My real values lies of knowing the truth of who I am by experiencing God.
Thanks, Rosie. Could you just sort of run us through what's going to happen and what you're going to be doing?
Well, you see, because we are learning to be miracle-minded, with breathwork, there are many different types of series. So it really depends of the energy on that day, right? I can use an example of, they call in India, it's called Nadi Shodhana, which is an alternative breathing exercises that helps to purify your mind and this body pretty much overall, right? And with that practice, even if you just do it for 4 minutes, you will experience inner peace straight away. So that's one part of the exercise for beginners. And the more I can see that everyone are willing to go a little bit more deeper, I could introduce 2 different breath work, 3, 4 different breath work. It really depends with the group. So in that, I have to feel the energy of what's going on at that time. Does that make sense? But that's one example, is alternative breathing exercises. There will be the time where I would say it's called hypoxia, where you hold your breath for as long as you can. And in that moment of holding your breath, you're technically dead. And with your deadness, you can see that there's still this consciousness that is available. And that's where I am saying you're not allowed to move. You need to withdraw from your senses and just go down a little bit more deeper of widening your faith and trust. Does that make sense?
This sort of thing can take you really, you could open up and disappear into the heart of God through these sort of practices. So there's an opportunity for a lot of undoing and also a lot of experience of light that you might not even have come across before and experienced before. Now, Rosie, I would say that in order for anyone to benefit from this, there probably has to be an initial commitment. Like I would say, to make a commitment to yourself for 4 weeks at least. I mean, it sounds like you're willing to show up longer than that, Rosie, if it's required. But I'd say for anyone, if they feel prompted to be involved with this, that really for your own benefit, and to really make use of this, to just say, yeah, I'm going to be there, and commit for at least a 4-week initial period. And we'll have a locked room. So it means anyone who commits, there's no sort of strays wandering in.
Yep. Also,
might not be the right word.
What I would like to add is, in that next 4 weeks, is really be honest, really get a hold of that package of energy. That package of energy I'm talking about is like those ones that keeps going around in a circle that has no end. Because unless we have something to offer to Jesus, we can't receive the good and only good. So we really need to be honest about what we are offering here. Unless you are just sort of just here window shopping and see what it feels like, you're not going to get the result of it. So it's really important to just ask yourself where you're at, how you are feeling, And let's get down to business and do some cleaning up.
Yeah, so that might look like, you have a really big fear around something. It might look like you've got a really old grievance with someone that you just know you've been trying to forgive, and it's just, there it is again. You might have a really big, you can feel a strong identification with a certain self-concept in your mind. You might really feel like you really are a mother or something, and you've got a lot of package of energy about all thoughts about parenthood, whatever.
Or you could say 7 deadly sins. That's pretty good to look at, like how many of us carries, what are the 7 deadly sins?
Lust.
Greed, lust, envy, yeah. So if you look at that package and really dig down into that layer and witness in your own mind, oh, do I feel envy? When somebody is doing this, do I feel like, it's not fair that she's got that and I don't have it? All of that needs to be freed from us. Unless we are aware of it, that it existed in our own consciousness, we can't be freed from it, because we need to bring our own light into the darkness.
And this is all undoing the self-concept, which is made up of all those packages of thought and the energy, the power of mind behind them that are holding them in our minds.
Thank you.
There's an energy, because we've empowered all that thought that makes up that with energy, with the power of our mind.
I'm so excited. Thank you so much for giving me this opportunity.
Now, Annie, with this locked room stuff, the first week, because like George and Brendan just left for whatever reason they have to leave, so they can't commit today, but they may want to come back next week and commit. So maybe for the first 10 minutes or something, we'll leave it open, or you can, rather than lock the room, maybe have it like waiting room, so we can let people in and
in the first week.
Yeah, and just get it sorted out again. Who wants to commit to 4 weeks, and then have a cut-off time? Because even when the normal groups, there's always stragglers coming in, so we might have to have a time. If you're not here by such and such a time, you're out.
Yeah, and I just thought, if there is someone that can't come next week, if we've got it that first week recorded and someone really expresses an interest and feels like, oh, I couldn't make it to the first week, then I can send them the video and just say, look, you've got to go over the video and work with this first video before you come into the second week then, so they can actually do the homework.
Good idea.
Before they come into the second week. This is a commitment, and it's a commitment to our own transformation. Now, it's like the Miracle Centre. If you were serious and you really wanted what was being offered, you showed up. If you weren't ready to commit, your mind comes up with all sorts of excuses. I can't be there because I've got to attend to this. I can't be there because of that. No, you don't. This is your commitment, and it's a commitment to your own transformation. And you show up if this is of value of you. Doesn't matter what your mind says. You show up because you know this is of more value than anything that is presented in time and space, in the perceptual world and perceptual universe. That's where we have to be honest with ourselves again. Am I ready? Am I willing? If I am, this is being offered to me now. I'm being presented to this now. I mean, it will come to you again if you're not ready now, but it's like a commitment. You're willing, and it's of support, not just to you, but for all of us that are willing to commit. You make that commitment to yourself and say yes to it, and you show up. It's not only just a commitment to you, it's to other brothers that are willing to show up and make that commitment as well.
Because we are doing it with the group, we're saving a lot of time, because every one of us carrying a different package of energies. Knowing that we are one, your energy is also my energy. So by having this collaboration, we are releasing it together. You don't have to actually even share the stories, because the stories is irrelevant. It's just being able to have that willingness to join in as one mind. Together, we can free up all this package of energy that is not needed anymore. That's what I really love about this joining in. at the beginning stage of my transformations, I only want love. I don't want fear. Don't want to perceive the absence of love. I only simply want to experience the presence of love. For me, I know I was saying before that we have to withdraw from our senses. That's including feelings. It's actually not. When I said about withdrawing from our senses, it's just the programming in our own mind, because the Course in Miracles is giving you the new programming. So the corrections has to happen in the ideas of what is it that we are feeling in here. Because unless we're in touch with our feelings, we can't transform anything. The skies is the limit. The constant feeling of bliss and joy, like everything said, good and only good without the opposite. It's really happening once you're really fully in touch with those feelings for transformation.
The thing is too, is with this, you could say disturbances in your mind, deeper you go, they'll become more subtle, and so they can be really easily skipped over. And that's where, again, the more we've cleaned out, the more we catch those seeming little subtle disturbances that can be really easily overlooked.
And that's what it's all about, isn't it? It's just like, really, at the end of the day, we are here to witness now that we are a child of God. And that in that presence, we can really recognize that we are free from all of these ideas that we've given upon ourselves. We don't need to carry those anymore. It's just that having that willingness to recognize that there is something else is available for us the moment we acknowledge that we no longer need these ideas that we keep holding on to. So next week, I know that it's supposed to be a miracle mindedness for those people, because it is breath work, and one of the contraindications is like, you know, for somebody who's got some health problems and stuff like that, just be miracle minded about it. Because this is how it's a little bit contradictions, because it tells you, oh, you can't do this if you have that, blah, 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 blah. But because we are here to represent the truth of who we are, that we are not this body and that we are not this mind, but it is up to you how deep you want to go, you know. So just listen from within. And if you feel guided that this is something that you want to take it on board because you want to join to collapse the time and experience the love's presence, then please just listen and do it, because that's what your heart tells you to do.
There was one thing I just wanted to say. I don't know whether this happens with this breath work because I haven't done it like this before, but there's times when the light comes in, and this is a way where the light's entering, that it can flash up more stuff. So you might feel even worse for a second. When I say a second, my idea of time is very loose. So that second might be 2 days or 2 weeks or something. I don't know. But can flash up stuff, which might, you know, it's like the mud being stirred up, and it's, you know, all being, you know, seeming to choke you while it's coming up. That's something to be aware of too. You might find all sorts of aches and pains that you were never ever conscious of that might start coming into your awareness and consciousness too. Like I said, I haven't done this particular thing before. If we're working with the light, you know, that's something that happens when the light happens, and there's a lot of stuff, well, I'm not saying a lot of stuff, but there's stuff to be purified from our minds.
Good point. That's a really good point, Annie. And I think everybody needs to become aware of that, because we are dealing with energy. And just bear in mind that while we're purifying our mind, we will perceive energy as, you know, personal to you, and you might perceive it as good or bad, right? Hence why the part of the teaching that I will share next week is aligning the mind, reorganizing the mind, knowing and recognizing that all your perceptions is either good or bad, or you're just imagining some things, or it's coming from reference to your memories. All of those ideas has to come up so that you can become aware of how it's being undone for you. That is the process of the purifications. If you can just allow yourself not to be afraid, and we will be doing lesson as well to top it up so that it makes it easier to deal with once the energy is being shaken up. Like Annie said, it depends with individual, it depends on our own karmic imprints, right? But together, our faith will become stronger.